Let's talk about the Surangama Sutra. Out of compassion for those in the assembly, the pratyekabuddhas and sravakas, whose body-mind was not yet at ease, and also for beings of the future in the dharma-ending age after the Buddha's parinirvana, who would arouse the body-mind, open the wondrous path of cultivation of the unsurpassed vehicle, and proclaim it to Ananda and the great assembly. If you are determined to arouse the body-mind, and in the Tathagata's wondrous samadhi, do not give rise to weariness, you should first clearly understand the two decisive principles of the initial awakening of the mind. Let's talk about this part first. So at this time, Sakyamuni Buddha was very compassionate and sympathetic that in the Dharma assembly, there are also pratyekabuddhas and sravakas, the practitioner of the lesser vehicles. Sravakas are the hearers, and that means they personally hear Sakyamuni Buddha teaching Dharma, that they hear the voice of Sakyamuni Buddha and gain enlightenment. That's called the sound hearers. But the sravakas mentioned here refer to arhats, practitioners of the lesser vehicles. They only practice themselves and not deliver sentient beings. And they cultivate the Four Noble Truths. Who are the pratyekabuddhas? That's wider. They also deliver sentient beings. They have realized the 12 links of dependent origination. You are a pratyekabuddha. If you realize the Four Noble Truths, you're sravaka. So they have been enlightened. The 12 links of dependent origination is from birth to death. If you have read the Buddhist sutras, you would know what they are and what the Four Noble Truths are. When Sakyamuni Buddha first turned the Dhamma wheel at the deer park, very close to Varanasi, he started giving Dhamma teaching on the Four Noble Truths about the suffering, the cause of suffering, the elimination of suffering, and the path. So, whether they heard the teaching of the 12 links of dependent origination or they realize it themselves, they are called the pratyekabuddhas. They are greatly enlightened. That's all this mentioned in the sutras. Those who realize the 12 links of dependent origination are pratyekabuddhas, and those who realize the Four Noble Truths are sravakas. And many more that have not truly enlightened to that state or have not attained a true self-mastery. There are many disciples like that. For the future, after the Buddha left the Saha world, the Dharma-ending age, after Sakyamuni Buddha had disappeared, leaving the Saha world, for the sentient beings to generate bodhisattva, to open the wondrous path of cultivation of the unsurpassed vehicle, to grant them the anuttara samyak sambodhi, to let them how to cultivate spiritually. So he told Ananda and the great assembly, if you are determined to arouse the body-mind or bodhicitta, and in the Tathagata's wondrous samadhi, so they generate bodhicitta, that's the same as Tathagata's wondrous samadhi. Samadhi is a kind of meditation. Do not give rise to weariness. You are always diligent. You should first clearly understand the two decisive principles of the initial awakening of the mind. So you should be clear Like last night, we had the ceremony for offering to the monastics generated bodhicitta, and they voluntarily make the vows and abide by them without violating them. So you have the aspiration, and from your aspiration you would know the true meaning. That's how you start. What are the two decisive principles of the initial resolve or aspiration? Ananda, what is the first essential meaning? If you and the others wish to relinquish the sravaka path and cultivate the bodhisattva vehicle to enter the Buddha's knowledge and vision, you must carefully examine whether your aspiration at the causal ground is the same as or different from the realization on the resultant ground. There are two kinds of meanings. The first one, Ananda, if you want to relinquish sravakahood, which is the lesser vehicle, cultivation, and cultivate the bodhisattva vehicle, which is the greater vehicle, which means you don't just cultivate yourself, but you also deliver other sentient beings. And to enter the wisdom, just like a Buddha or Tathagata, you must carefully examine your aspiration at the causal ground. You aspire to cultivate spiritually. Is it the same or different from the realization on the resultant ground? So the initial aspiration and the final realization are the same or not? And Sakyamuni Buddha continued, Ananda, if on the causal ground you take up the mind of arising and ceasing, so the mind or the thought arises and ceases. If you take a mind of arising and ceasing to cultivate, yet you seek the Buddha vehicle, which is non-arising and non-ceasing, that is impossible. If you cultivate using something that arises and ceases, yet you want to attain the non-arising and non-ceasing of the Buddha, that's impossible. That's useless. This is very difficult to explain. Like last night, everyone made a vow. You generated the bodhicitta, the aspiration. But such a mind is bound to arising and ceasing. It's not eternal. Because for some, it's only lasting for a short time. Like I said, the rainy roads are slippery. Our monastics have returned to home life. There are quite a bit of them. We cannot say that all of them stay. When you generated the aspiration, you had the bodhicitta, and then the mind dies. Where has it gone? They were seduced away by girls and ladies. Several of them have gone. They return to ordinary life and go about their lives. Who knows how many children they have by now? We don't know. That happened. Yes, that happened. So that's mind of arising and ceasing. When you made a vow, the mind you use arises and ceases. Your initial aspiration and the end of the non-arising and non-ceasing of the Buddha. Everything with phenomena in the world are arising and ceasing. Only one thing is non-arising and non-ceasing, and that's the sky, the empty space, the cosmic space. Everything else with form and phenomena are arising and ceasing. The first essential meaning is you have to use the non-arising and non-ceasing mind to seek the Buddha's wisdom and realization. You cannot use other minds. because the Buddha's mind is non-arising and non-ceasing. If your mind is still arising and ceasing, it's impossible to find it. So the aspiration is good, but it's more important to have the persistence and perseverance. Yeah, it sounds good to become a monastic. Everybody wants to be. Someone told me, it's good to be a monastic. I want to be ordained. And I said, okay, sure. Here, I'll shave your head. After a while, he said, that girl is very attractive. And then he came and asked me, can we become cultivation partners? For me, I just followed their wishes. I would never say no. Since you have such a question, since you have such a thought, I always say, go ahead, sure. With the go ahead, they go. I said, okay, you can live together, but still stay at the Lian temple. To earn a living, you still have to go to work, whether you wear a lama robe or just ordinary clothes, it's okay. I said, you can still come to the centers or temples to deliver sentient beings. He did that for a bit in the beginning, but not anymore. Now we don't even know where he's gone. I know, because his wife came here and talked to me and asked, how about your husband at home? What is he doing at home? Doing housework and go to work, and he was a monk. He was being enticed by a girl, and I told her it's not so good to make a monk break his vows. It's not that good, but there must be karmic affinity, that karmic connection, so you cannot stop them, right? There were two monastics in the past. They all had passed away. They were monastics, they were good, and then they all left monastic life, and then they got married. Then they thought it's better to become monastics. The two of them came back to be ordained again. And at Sinsa area, they built a Fa in Lian temple. And there's a Dharma teacher there now. He left his monkhood, married her, and then came back to become a monk again for the second time. That's okay. For general monks, for a man like the monk, they can go back and forth between monkhood and derobing 7 times. But for the woman, the nuns, you can only do it once. And as soon as you leave your monastic life, you're derobing, then you cannot come back again to be ordained as a nun. See, in Sakyamuni Buddha's era, there was inequality between men and women. But for us now, there is equality. The women are stronger nowadays. The woman can do it 7 times, and the man cannot. No, I didn't say that. In the past, we prefer man over woman, so the woman can only become a nun once. That's the rule set by Sakyamuni Buddha. So this derobing represents the mind of arising and ceasing. If you use the mind of arising and ceasing to seek the Buddha's knowledge and vision that is non-arising and non-ceasing, is impossible. So you need to have an everlasting mind of non-arising and non-ceasing to seek the Buddha's realization. So the aspiration at the causal ground is the same as or different from the realization on the resultant ground. Ananda, if on the causal ground you take a mind of arising and ceasing as the basis of cultivation, yet seek the Buddha vehicle which is non-arising and non-ceasing, that is impossible. So your bodhicitta or the aspiration is not lasting. Of course, it's not possible to seek the Buddha's realization. For this reason, you should clearly contemplate all conditioned things in the world which can be created inevitably undergo change and destruction. So you should clearly understand that all conditioned things in the world, or everything, is arising and ceasing. Like a tree, it started from a sprout to growing, aging, until the tree disappears. Look at the animals. They are all arising and ceasing. Look at humans too. Everything arises and ceases. A new house would become an old house, and everything starts to break down. Everything will deteriorate. Everything with forms and phenomena in this world will deteriorate, no exception. The houses are stronger and last longer than humans. One day, if I'm not here anymore, Simu's not here anymore, but the South Mountain Retreat stays, the house is there, but it becomes old. When Rainbow Temple was just built, there was a new home. We were in the news that there was a rainbow villa here. We invited everybody to visit, and on the grand opening there were many visitors. Rainbow Temple was new and bright and radiant, but now the Rainbow Temple is getting old too, and not long Simu and I will not be here. But will Rainbow Temple still here? Yes. But it will become old, and what will happen in the future? You don't know. It's hard to say. And Sumo and I will stay at the Twin Lotus Columbarium. But what will happen? What will it become in the future? We don't know. And who would be the boss? We don't know. When I just built it, the first abbot of Rainbow Temple, Master Lian Yin. All of a sudden, I forgot many names. Master Lian Yin came here to work. He told me, I can go to the Rainbow Villa to take care of it. And I said, go ahead. He came here, then brought a group of people. He's gone now. Rainbow Temple is still here. The Rainbow Villa. Even after we die, the Rainbow Temple will still be here, but it would be old. Who knows, maybe one day they will take it down and rebuild. Maybe they will build a high-rise of 10 floors. The Saha world is arising and ceasing. And my body too was broken. And this time, almost all of it gone. Luckily, with some repair and fix and cut and this, and I'm here again giving Dharma teaching. There is no bodies that do not decay. It's quite scary. Every time I give blessings, letters about cancer, growth, tumor, strokes, and lung cancer, when I see all those, I thought of myself. The pain of being cut, you would be very sympathetic of the ailing people because you have experienced it yourself. You have been hospitalized too. You have had blood transfusion and IV and a catheter and had 2 surgeries. You see many people having surgeries laying on the sick bed with the breathing instrument. Think of those people. Those are all arising and ceasing. Being sick is truly suffering. Every day, opening the windows, I just saw the light rail from the airport to Redmond. Seeing that, I kept thinking, when can I leave this place, the hospital? You've had the pain of being operated. You would be more compassionate toward those who had the same experience. Human bodies have problems. There is not eternally or completely healthy body. When I got in the hospital, they asked me how old I am. When they saw I was born in 1945, you've never been to the hospital? No. No. Did you ever have any surgeries? No. So your body is good. So what use is that? I was still sent to the hospital. You don't look like you're in the 80s. The age, you're already 80. In Taiwan, you are counted as 1 year old as soon as you're born, and as soon as you celebrate Chinese New Year, you're counted as 2. In American counting, I'm 80, and then only after having my birthday in June, I would be 81. And they say, well, you're considered healthy. See, even when I'm healthy, I still have to come into the hospital. And as soon as you're hospitalized, you would know the suffering there. And I've had experience it myself, seeing all the sick patients asking for blessings. I felt really upset and sad. I thought of myself and then thought of them. The same principle. The body is undergoing arising and ceasing, birth and death. Even when you can overcome it this time, how many more years can you live? Please take care of important matters right away. Do according to the teaching. Never do any evils. Always do good and purify the mind. That's all about Buddhism. Never do anything bad. Always do good. For the body and for the speech. Purifying the mind is for the mind. So that's for the karma of the body, speech, and mind. If you want to leave the Saha world and be free from the sleeper cycle, the only way is to practice the purity of the body, speech, and mind. Never do anything bad, always do good. That's to take care of the bodily karma and speech karma. And to purify the mind is to take care of the mind karma. When these 3 karmas are purified, that's the teaching of the Buddha, Buddhism. Only this is long-lasting. That's the mind of long-lasting, the mind of non-ceasing and non-arising. Everything else is arising and ceasing. No matter how healthy your body is, you will also die eventually. Some people have heavy illness karma, and they've been sickly since birth till death. And I'm considered pretty healthy. I only got hospitalized at 80, but after being hospitalized once, I'm really shocked. Human body is also arising and ceasing. You should clearly contemplate that all conditioned things in the world which can be created inevitably undergo change and destruction. Ananda, observe the things in the world that can be created. What among them does not decay? Is there anything that does not decay? Like the Rainbow Temple, how will it become? It's hard to predict. Observe the things in the world that can be created. What among them does not decay? Everything decays, deteriorates. That's all about the Surangama Sutra today.